chewing on a piece of grass, walking down the road. Tell me, how long you gonna stay here, Joe? Some people say this town don't look good in snow. You don't care, I know.
Hello everyone, forecaster John Ruggiano with Ruggie Weather. In this video presentation, this will be for my 2011-2012 winter forecast. In this presentation, I'll basically go over all of my maps, precipitation, temperatures, snowfall predictions, and basically storm track maps. I'll give you guys a quick overview of what I'm thinking, and I'll also include a link on this video for you to go to my blog where I have a complete write-up. There will be some more details in that write-up along with my explanation of why I think this winter is going to turn out the way it is. So after the video, please check out my write-up. I released my winter forecast on October 7th on Friday, which is a little over a week ago, so I wanted to put together a quick video. So first we are going to get into my temperature map, which will start there and go into my storm track map and try to give an explanation of what I'm thinking for the continental United States. Here's my first map, my temperature map. Now this goes from December 1st, 2011 through March 31st, 2012, a 4-month period. This is the overall anomaly of what I'm forecasting for temperatures across the United States. I'm expecting basically a mean trough to be positioned from the central and eastern United States, therefore have below normal temperatures across the northern plains and part of the northern Rockies, down into much of the Midwest, Tennessee Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and into much of New England, where I'm forecasting temperatures to be -1 to -3 over this 4-month period. Much below average temperatures are expected across the heart of the Midwest, so areas like Chicago, Indianapolis, even down near St. Louis, much of Iowa, you can expect temperatures to average -3 to -5. Basically near average temperatures along the coastal southeast, much of Florida, the deep south, into parts of Texas, and then this will go up into the Rockies and the Northwest states. Now, when I have near average temperatures, folks, don't think you won't have any cold shots, because you will. This, like I said, is an anomaly over a 4-month period. I think a lot of the areas in the Northwest will see probably below normal temperatures for a couple months, mainly in January and February. And down in the southeast and deep south, I'm forecasting an early start to winter, so you guys will have cold shots, especially in December and January. So there could be 3 to 5 day periods where you're 6 to 10 degrees below average, but toward the end of the winter season, I'm forecasting temperatures to rebound February, March in these areas. So when it's all said and done, your temperatures will probably average about near average from -1 to +1. The only area I'm forecasting above average temperatures is going to be over much of California and into much of the Southwest and even near the Southern Rockies, where I'm forecasting +1 to +3. Now for my precipitation map for the upcoming winter, I'm forecasting above normal precipitation over much of central and southern New England, the entire Mid-Atlantic and Midwest and Great Lakes. I think the main trough will be positioned in these areas for much of the winter, so above normal precipitation and a lot of storminess can be expected in these areas. Also, at times there will be some troughiness in the Northwest Pacific and parts of the northern Rockies, so here I'm forecasting above average precipitation for the 4-month period as well. For much of the rest of the nation, near average precipitation. The only area where I'm forecasting below average precipitation, mainly due to a weak southwest ridge and a plateau high, will be over central and southern California into much of the Four Corners area, and unfortunately into parts of western Texas. I'm forecasting below average precipitation in these areas. Now we'll move on to my snowfall map. This is what I'm expecting for the winter forecast for this upcoming winter. Basically above average snowfall for much of the northern Rockies and the parts of the northern plains, the entire Great Lakes and Midwest, and into parts of the central and northern Mid-Atlantic. Central and southern New England can expect above average snowfall for this upcoming winter from December into March. I'm also expecting above average lake effect snows for Ohio, northwest Pennsylvania into western New York State, and also into Michigan. I think there'll be a lot of cold air advection events with cold air coming over the warmer lakes, especially from mid and late November into early January. A lot of the snow belts can expect above average snowfall for this winter. Down into the interior southeast, lower Tennessee Valley, into the central plains, much of the central Rockies, and into the northwest Pacific states, near average snowfall can be expected for this winter. And the only area due to below average precipitation and warmer temperatures, much of the southern Rockies and into California, you guys can expect below average snowfall for this winter. And next I'm going to go on to my storm track map, which will explain a lot of why I'm thinking above normal snowfall and below normal snowfall in the areas that I'm talking about. So let's move on to my storm track maps now. I basically have three main storm tracks for this upcoming winter. We have storm track 1 here, storm track 2 coming out of the Canadian Rockies with clippers into the northern plains and Great Lakes, and then storm track 3 is where I expect some development down in the lower Mississippi Valley. And first we'll start with storm track 1. I believe this will be the main predominant storm track for the upcoming winter. If you go to my blog, I have these maps posted on my write-up, and I explain a little bit more about these storm tracks and what to expect. So we'll start with storm track number 1, where I'm expecting a lot of storm systems due to some troughiness in the northwest Pacific to come in the Pacific Northwest, and then these storms will move into the northern Rockies and then dive east-southeast into the Midwest and then exit off the mid-Atlantic coast or southern New England coast. I believe this main storm track is going to cause a lot of the cold and snow along into the north of the track across much of the northern plains, the Great Lakes, Midwest, parts of the northern mid-Atlantic, and into southern and central New England. The second storm track, which will also be quite active with the northern branch and due to some amplification and troughiness over the central and eastern United States, will allow a lot of clippers and upper level energy to dive southeast out of the northern plains and into the Midwest. Some of these clippers could dive into the Tennessee Valley and exit off the mid-Atlantic coast in here, so some transfers and Miller B activity is possible with this storm track. This will also add to the cold and snow over much of the Midwest, Great Lakes, and then in parts in the southern central New England and the northern mid-Atlantic. My third storm track anomaly will be where we see this trough really dig and amplify across into the Tennessee Valley and off the mid-Atlantic coast like this. So with that occurring, there will be some storm development over the Tennessee Valley and lower Mississippi Valley. These are typically are Miller A type storms. I do see the chance for a couple of these to develop, mainly probably from late December into much of January and early February. And with this possibility, I'm forecasting a couple storms of 6 to 12 inches possible from much of the mid-Atlantic and into southern and central New England, which will give you guys the bulk of your heavier snowfall for this winter. As you can see, I have a large area of snow and ice that covers the central plains into much of the lower Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley, interior Virginia, and up into the southern New England regions. This is going to be the battle zone, I think, with these storm tracks. So you guys will have your bouts of snow, and also a couple ice storms are possible during the winter season, so we'll keep an eye on that. Now, in closing out this video presentation, I'd like to give my overall forecast for Philadelphia and the Delaware Valley. Overall, in the 4-month period from December 1st through March 31st, I'm forecasting overall temperatures to average below average at minus 1.6 for Philadelphia. My range is -1 to -3. I'm forecasting snowfall totals to be between 28 and 36 inches for the winter season. My target call is about 32 inches, so that's what I'm forecasting for snowfall in Philadelphia. In my blog and write-up, I have the monthly breakdown. Of course, you can see I'm looking for a cold start to winter with about -3 in December. Snowfall above average. January, I'm looking at about -1. February, continued cold at -2. And then toward the end of winter, from late February to March, I'm forecasting above average temperatures of about +2 in March, or +1 to +3 as an average. Snowfall through much of the winter will be above average, near average in March. And I have some selected cities from Boston, New York City, Baltimore, Washington, and Richmond. You guys can go on my blog and see what I'm forecasting for these areas. And I encourage you guys to stay tuned and follow my blog throughout the winter, which I will be updating in mid and long range forecasting and individual snow events and ice events that will occur through the winter. Anyway, guys, enjoy the winter. It looks like another rather cold and snowy winter for much of the mid-Atlantic and Northeast, especially out in the Midwest. So I encourage you once again to go to my blog, where I have a complete write-up with more maps and details to go over my winter forecast. Alright, have a good one, guys.